The Forgotten Arsenal. The colony of New Horizon glittered against the violet skies of Epsilon 6, a testament to human determination at the edge of known space. Its biodomes and modular structures had transformed the rocky plateau into a thriving outpost over the past decade. But today, the usual bustle had given way to an eerie silence as colonists huddled in underground shelters. Above them, the sky darkened not with rain clouds, but with the ominous silhouettes of Varithi warships. In the colony's command center, Captain Lena Reyes stood before a tactical display, her weathered face illuminated by its blue glow. Once a military historian specializing in ancient Earth combat techniques, she now found herself the reluctant leader of New Horizons' defense. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd spent her career studying wars, never expecting to fight one. "They've established a perimeter," reported Eli Chen, her communications officer. "Orbital scans show ground forces deploying 20 kilometers north. Conservative estimate puts their numbers at 3,000 troops plus mechanized units." Lena nodded, absently touching the ancient compass she wore on a chain around her neck. A family heirloom that had once belonged to a soldier who'd fought in Earth's World War II. "And our defensive capabilities?" The colony's security chief, a burly ex-Terran Marine named Domingo, grunted. 200 colonists with military training, another 500 who can hold a gun, perimeter defense systems and automated turrets, 6 combat mechs, though 2 need repairs." He hesitated. "It won't be enough, Captain." "The Concord fleet won't arrive for at least 2 weeks, Chen added quietly. Lena studied the tactical display. The Varithi Empire had been expanding aggressively, for years, absorbing or destroying colonies that refused to submit to their rule. New Horizon, with its rich mineral deposits and strategic position, was their latest target. "We've been monitoring their communications," said Nasha Kuri, their intelligence analyst. "They're giving us 24 hours to surrender before they begin their assault." Lena's eyes narrowed. "Have they ever accepted a surrender without casualties?" Nasha's silence was answer enough. "We make our stand," Lena decided. "Begin evacuation protocols for children and non-essential personnel to the mountain shelters. Domingo, deploy our defense forces according to Protocol Theta." As her team dispersed, Dr. Marcus Reed, the colony's chief scientist, approached. "Captain, I've analyzed data from previous Varithi conquests. Their armor and shield technology adapts rapidly to energy weapons. Colonial militias typically lose effectiveness within hours as the Varithi systems calibrate. So our pulse rifles and plasma cannons will become increasingly useless," Reed confirmed. "The Varithi use a crystalline matrix in their armor that disperses energy. The more we hit them with the same weapons, the better they become at neutralizing them." Lena rubbed her temples. "Then we need something they haven't encountered before. Something they haven't adapted to." "Captain," Chen's voice interrupted, "there's something you should see." During preparations for expanding the agricultural sector last month, excavation teams discovered what appears to be an old military depot, pre-colony, possibly from the initial survey mission 30 years ago. The inventory logs were just uploaded. "To our system." Lena scrolled through the list, her eyes widening. "Chemical propellants, mechanical firearms, and—" She stopped, a slow smile spreading across her face. "Flamethrowers, M7A3 military-grade incendiary projectors." "Flamethrowers." Domingo looked incredulous. "Those haven't been standard military issue for over a century." "Exactly," said Lena, excitement building in her voice. "The Varithi have never encountered them in battle." Reed frowned. "Captain, with all due respect, there's a reason these weapons were phased out. They're barbaric, short-ranged, dangerous to the user, and completely unpredictable to an enemy that's evolved defenses against energy weapons," Lena finished. "Their crystalline armor is designed to dissipate concentrated energy beams, not withstand sustained, widespread thermal assault." She turned to Domingo. "Get a team to secure that depot and bring those flamethrowers here. I want every unit inspected. and operational within 6 hours. 3 hours later, the Colony Council convened in emergency session. Predictably, Council Chair Patel was appalled. "Flamethrowers?" he sputtered. "This isn't the Dark Ages, Captain Reyes. We're a scientific colony, not barbarians." "With all due respect, Chair Patel," Lena replied calmly, "the Varithi don't care about our ethical standards. They've slaughtered populations across 3 sectors. Our conventional defenses—" "Will fail," Lena interrupted. "The Varithi ships will neutralize our automated systems, and their ground troops have adaptive shielding. But they've never faced primitive mechanical weapons in battle." Dr. Elba Santos, the colony's lead biologist, nodded slowly. "It's sound reasoning. In natural systems, hyper-specialized organisms often can't adapt to unexpected threats outside their evolutionary experience." "Exactly," said Lena. "The Varithi expect energy weapons, and they're prepared for them. They won't expect streams of burning fuel that stick to their armor and continue burning." After heated debate, the council reluctantly approved her plan. As they dispersed, Domingo approached. "The depot's been secured. 43 flamethrowers recovered, 38 operational. Fuel reserves for about 8 hours of continuous use. Get them distributed to your best troops," Lena ordered. "And I want volunteers for a forward strike team." "You're planning an offensive?" Domingo asked, surprised. Lena nodded grimly. "The best defense is one they don't expect. The first Varithi..." Scouts reached the colony's outer perimeter as dusk fell. Tall, insectoid creatures with iridescent exoskeletons, they moved with eerie grace through the rocky terrain. Their armor gleamed with embedded crystals that pulsed with soft light, the adaptive defense systems that had made them nearly invincible against conventional weapons. Lena watched from a concealed position as the alien patrol approached the automated defense turrets. The turrets activated, firing concentrated plasma bursts. The first volley caught 2 Varithi soldiers, their bodies jerking as the energy hit them. But the next 3 merely staggered, their armor flashing as it absorbed and dispersed the energy. By the 4th volley, they stood unaffected, the plasma dissipating harmlessly around them. "Phase 1 complete," Lena whispered into her comm. "They've calibrated to the turrets. Strike team, prepare to engage." Beside her, 6 colonists clutched, their flamethrowers nervously. They were an unlikely fighting force. 2 security officers, a botanist, a construction worker, and a pair of atmospheric technicians who understood fluid dynamics. "Remember your training," Lena said, checking her own weapon. "Short bursts. Aim for the joints and sensory apparatus. They'll try to retreat once engaged. Don't let them. We need to prevent any data on our weapons from reaching their command." The Varithi patrol moved deeper into the perimeter, clearly confident after neutralizing the turrets. When they reached the designated kill zone, Lena gave the signal. "Now!" The strike team rose from their positions, flamethrowers roaring to life. Streams of burning fuel arced through the air, enveloping the Varithi scouts in liquid fire. Their crystalline armor, so effective against energy weapons, provided no defense against the clinging, burning fuel. The aliens emitted high-pitched, keening sounds as they thrashed in confusion and pain. Their coordinated movements dissolved into panic. 2 tried to activate emergency shields, but the flames had already found gaps in their armor, igniting the sensitive tissue beneath. Within minutes, the entire patrol lay motionless on the scorched ground. Lena approached cautiously. "Scanning the bodies! Check for communication devices!" she ordered. "Anything that might have transmitted data back to their command." A thorough search confirmed nothing had been sent. The surprise had been complete. "It worked," whispered Chen, staring at the alien corpses with a mixture of horror and relief. "This was just a scout patrol," Lena reminded them. "The real test comes tomorrow." She knelt beside one of the fallen Varithi, examining its armor. The crystalline matrix had partially melted, fused into grotesque patterns where the flames had burned hottest. "Get these bodies back to Reed's lab for analysis," she ordered. I want to know everything about how their armor reacted to the fire. As they made their way back to the colony, Domingo fell into step beside her. The full invasion force will be different, he warned. Better armed, better coordinated. Lena nodded, her expression grim. That's why we need to be ready with more than just flamethrowers. We need to combine them with our remaining functional tech in ways they won't expect. She glanced at her old compass, its needle pointing steadily north, despite the alien world around them. History is full of armies that fell because they couldn't adapt to unexpected tactics, she said quietly. Let's make sure the Varithi join that list. Part 2. Trial by Fire. The alien vessel floated in high orbit above Epsilon 6, its crystalline structure refracting the distant sunlight into rainbow patterns across its surface. Inside the command chamber, Commander Zex Toral seethed with barely contained fury. "Explain to me," he hissed, mandibles clicking sharply, "how an entire scout patrol was eliminated without transmitting a single data packet." The tactical officer's antennae flattened submissively against his head. "The humans appear to have used an unknown weapon type, Commander. Our ground forces report unusual thermal signatures at the engagement site. These are primitives." Zex Toral slammed a clawed appendage against the crystalline console. "Their colony barely registers as a Level 3 civilization. They should have surrendered at first contact." "There's something else," the tactical officer ventured cautiously. "We've identified their defense coordinator. Historical data indicates she is Lena Reyes, formerly of the Terran Historical Combat Institute, a teacher of ancient warfare techniques." Zex Toral's compound eyes narrowed. "A historian leads their defense? They mock us." He straightened, his full height impressive even for a Varithi. "Begin the main assault. No prisoners. I want this colony erased." Back on the surface, Lena stood before an unlikely assembly of colonists in what had once been the central food hall, now converted into a makeshift armory. Farmers, scientists, administrators, ordinary people who had come to Epsilon 6 seeking a peaceful life, now preparing for war. "The flamethrowers are simple to operate but require discipline," she explained, demonstrating the weapon's mechanics. 3 key components: the pressure tank on your back containing compressed gas, the fuel canister mounted below it, and the ignition system in the projector tube. She pointed to the trigger mechanism. 2-stage operation. First press releases the fuel, second ignites it. Never reverse this order. Aim for joints in their armor and their sensory organs. Here and here. She indicated the relevant areas on a diagram of Varithi anatomy. As the training continued, Dr. Reed entered the hall, making his way directly to Lena. "I've completed the analysis of the Varithi armor," he reported. "The crystalline matrix doesn't just disperse energy. It harvests it. That's how they power their adaptive systems. So our energy weapons are actually making them stronger," Lena concluded. Reed nodded. "But the flamethrowers work differently. The sustained thermal assault overwhelms their systems, and the chemical fire continues burning even after initial contact. Their armor has no effective countermeasure. Can they adapt to it? Eventually, yes, but they'd need to completely redesign their armor composition. That can't happen during a single battle." Lena smiled grimly. "Then we have one chance to make this count." As the colonists dispersed to their assigned positions, Domingo approached with the colony's chief engineer, Yana Petrova. "We've modified the remaining automated turrets as you requested," Petrova reported. "They'll now fire in random patterns rather than the standard targeting protocols, making it harder for the Varithi systems to establish adaptation patterns. And I've got your volunteers for the special assignment," Domingo added, gesturing to a group of 6 colonists standing nearby. "Former Zero-G construction workers. If anyone can manage what you're proposing, it's them." Lena nodded. "Good. We need every advantage we can get." She turned to her tactical display, studying the colony layout once more. "The Varithi will expect us to create a defensive perimeter, Instead, we'll draw them into killing zones where we can maximize the effectiveness of our flamethrowers. Some on the council still believe we should surrender, Domingo said quietly. Brenton has been particularly vocal. He thinks we're prolonging the inevitable. Counselor Brenton is welcome to his opinion, Lena replied coldly. But I've studied every Varithi conquest for the past 5 years. They don't take prisoners, they don't honor surrender terms, they eliminate resistance and strip planets bare. Before Domingo could respond, alarms blared across the colony. Chen's voice came through. The comm system. Multiple dropships detected. Varithi ground forces deploying at all compass points. Battle stations! Lena ordered, strapping on her gear. Commence Operation Hellfire! The Varithi attack came in precise, coordinated waves. Their frontline troops advanced with mechanical precision, firing energy weapons that blasted chunks from the colony's outer structures. Behind them, larger units carried heavy cannons that began systematically targeting defensive positions. From her command post, Lena watched the tactical display as the alien forces moved exactly as predicted, avoiding the obvious defensive positions, and instead probing for weaknesses. Defense Group Alpha, hold position, she ordered. Beta and Gamma, prepare for Phase 1. As the Varithi forces reached the first designated zone, hidden doors in seemingly abandoned structures slid open. Colonists emerged, flamethrowers roaring to life. Streams of burning fuel engulfed the alien soldiers, who reacted with obvious shock, their formation dissolving into chaos. Phase 2, Lena commanded, the modified automated turrets activated, firing in erratic patterns. Normally, the Varithi armor would quickly adapt to energy weapons, but the randomized firing sequences confused their adaptive systems. Caught between the conventional energy attacks they couldn't immediately counter and the flamethrowers their armor had no defense against, the first wave of attackers broke. They're retreating to regroup, Domingo reported from his position. But their second wave is already deploying, and they're bringing in their heavy assault units. Lena nodded grimly. As expected. Execute Phase 3. Across the colony, hidden, panels opened in the ground. Colonists emerged from concealed tunnels behind the Varithi lines, flamethrowers targeting the aliens' rear positions. Simultaneously, the construction team Domingo had assembled appeared on the rooftops, using modified atmosphere processors to create swirling vortices that directed the flames over wider areas. For 2 hours, the battle raged across the colony. The Varithi commanders, increasingly desperate, threw more forces into the fight, but the combination of unconventional tactics and the devastating effectiveness of the flamethrowers against their armor resulted in mounting losses. In the command center, Lena monitored the situation, redirecting defenders as needed. Chen reported casualty figures, high among the colonists, but much higher for the attackers. They're pulling back, Chen announced finally. All units retreating to their dropships. A ragged cheer went up from the command staff, but Lena raised a hand for silence. This isn't over. They're regrouping, not surrendering. As if in confirmation of her words, a communication request flashed on the main screen. When Lena nodded, Chen opened the channel. The image of Commander Zex Toral appeared, his chitinous features impossible for humans to read, but his tone conveyed his fury clearly enough. I am Commander Zex Toral of the Varithi Dominion, he began. You have violated civilized combat protocols by employing prohibited weapons of primitive design. Lena stepped forward. This is Captain Lena Reyes. We are a civilian colony exercising our right to self-defense using the means available to us. There are no prohibited weapons in our arsenal. Your primitive incendiary devices cause unnecessary suffering. Spare me the false concern, Lena interrupted. The Varithi Dominion has exterminated civilian populations across 3 sectors. Your reputation precedes you. Zex Toral's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation Lena had learned. You have earned a more comprehensive response, Captain Reyes. Prepare your colonists for extinction. The communication cut off abruptly. What did he mean by comprehensive response? Chen asked nervously. Lena's expression was grim. They're bringing in specialized units, troops equipped to counter our flamethrowers. How can you be sure? Because it's what I would do. She turned to Domingo. Get everyone back inside the defensive perimeter. Resupply all flamethrower units and implement contingency plan Delta. As her orders were carried out, Counselor Brenton stormed into the command center, his face flushed with anger. This is madness, Reyes. You've antagonized them further. We should be discussing surrender terms, not preparing for another assault. There are no terms to discuss, Lena replied evenly. The Verithi don't negotiate. They conquer or they destroy. You're going to get us all killed with these barbaric tactics. Brenton gestures wildly at the tactical display showing the colony's flamethrower units. These barbaric tactics have kept us alive so far, Domingo growled, stepping between them. Lena raised a hand to calm her security chief. Counselor, I understand your concern, but I've studied every Verithi campaign of the past decade. They respect only strength and are confused by the unexpected. Right now, both are working in our favor. And when they return with forces specifically designed to counter your precious flamethrowers, Brenton demanded. Lena's expression hardened. Then we'll have something else waiting for them. After Brenton stormed out, Domingo turned to her. Please tell me you actually have something else planned. I do, Lena confirmed. Get Reed and Petrova in here, and I need access to the chemical synthesis lab. 6 hours later, the Verithi returned. Their dropships deployed new troops, bulkier than before, wearing modified armor with additional layers that gleamed dully in the planet's violet light. They carried large shields and moved in tight formations that presented minimal exposed surface area. Heat-resistant armor, Reed observed from beside Lena at their observation post. And those shields are designed to block liquid projectiles. They've adapted quicker than I expected, Lena admitted, but not quickly enough. She activated her comm link. All units, execute phase Delta now. Across the battlefield, the colonists employed their modified weapons. The flamethrowers now fired in concentrated pressurized bursts rather than sustained streams, more like liquid bullets than waves of fire. The modified fuel, enhanced with compounds from Reed's lab, burned at temperatures nearly twice as high as before. The Verithi heat-resistant armor, designed to counter the previous day's weapons, began to buckle under the intensified assault. Their formations faltered as colonists targeted the edges of their shields, where the superheated fuel could splash around the protective barriers. In orbit, Commander Zex Toral watched the battle unfold with mounting disbelief. They modified their primitive weapons in hours, he demanded of his tactical officer. It appears so, Commander. Our ground forces report the humans are using different deployment techniques and enhanced incendiary compounds. Zex Toral's fist crashed down on his console. These are not mere colonists. This is not possible. On the surface, Lena directed the battle with calm efficiency, redirecting units as needed, adapting tactics as the Verithi attempted to counter their new approach. By nightfall, the alien forces had once again withdrawn, their losses even heavier than before. In the command center, the mood was cautiously optimistic as Lena conferred with her team. They'll be back, she warned, and next time, they'll bring everything they have. Our fuel reserves are down to less than 30%, Petrova reported, and we've lost nearly a quarter of our flamethrower units to damage or operator casualties. Lena nodded grimly. Then we need to make our final stand count. She pointed to the tactical display. Here, in the central plaza, we'll draw them in and end this, one way or another. As her team dispersed to prepare, Lena remained alone in the command center, studying the enemy positions. She removed her old compass from around her neck, opening it to reveal not just a magnetic needle but a faded photograph inside the case. A young woman in an ancient military uniform. Your tactics saved your unit at Verdun, she whispered to the image of her great-great-grandmother. Let's hope they save our colony too. Inferno's victory dawn broke over New Horizon colony, the sky a sickly purple as Varithi warships moved into lower orbit. Their silhouettes blotted out Epsilon 6's rising sun, casting long shadows across the battle-scarred settlement. In what remained of the command center, Lena completed her final inspections. The previous day's victories had come at a steep cost. 43 colonists dead, over 100 wounded, and their defensive perimeter reduced by nearly half. Still, they had inflicted disproportionate damage on the Varithi forces, destroying nearly 1,000 enemy troops and dozens of their assault vehicles. Dr. Reed approached, his lab coat stained with chemical compounds and burn marks. The final modifications are complete, he reported. But I must emphasize again, what you're proposing pushes well beyond safety parameters. Safety became a luxury when the Varithi arrived, Lena replied, checking the modifications to her own flamethrower. The weapon barely resembled its original form now, with additional pressure tanks, modified nozzles, and a reinforced fuel chamber. Containing Reed's latest chemical concoction. If the pressure regulator fails, the backblast alone could— I know the risks, Lena interrupted. But we're out of alternatives and nearly out of time. She softened her tone. Your work has kept us alive this long, Marcus. One more miracle is all I'm asking. Reed nodded reluctantly. The formula should generate temperatures approaching 3,000 degrees Celsius on ignition. Nothing in the Varithi arsenal is designed to withstand that kind of heat. Commander! Chen called from her communications station. Multiple dropships launching from the Varithi fleet. Readings indicate at least 5,000 troops deploying, plus heavy assault vehicles. Lena moved to the tactical display. The alien forces were arranging themselves in a perfect encirclement pattern, closing off all potential escape routes. They're not taking any chances this time, Domingo observed grimly. Full containment deployment. Good, said Lena. That puts them exactly where we need them. She activated the colony-wide communication system. All defenders to final positions. Civilian personnel, complete evacuation to deep shelters immediately. As her people moved with practiced efficiency, Counselor Brenton made one last appearance. Captain? Reyes, he began, his earlier hostility tempered by resignation. The Council has voted. We formally authorize your final defense plan. Lena nodded. Thank you, Counselor. This isn't approval, Brenton clarified. It's acknowledgement that we've run out of options. If by some miracle we survive this day, there will be a reckoning for the methods you've employed. I look forward to it, Lena replied evenly. Now please join the other non-combatants in the shelters. Once he had gone, Domingo stepped closer. Was that a hint of respect I detected? Fear, Lena corrected. He's realized there are worse things than flamethrowers. She checked her timepiece. The Varithi will breach our outer perimeter in 30 minutes. I want all teams in position in 15. The command staff dispersed to their assigned stations. Lena made her way through the colony's underground tunnel system to the central plaza, the heart of their final defense. There, Petrova and her engineering team had worked through the night, transforming the once peaceful gathering place into an elaborate trap. Fuel lines are pressurized and sealed, Petrova reported as Lena emerged. Ignition systems primed. We've modified the colony's atmospheric processors as instructed. They'll create a vortex effect on command. And the building surrounding the plaza? Rigged as specified. The structural supports will collapse inward when triggered. Lena surveyed their work with grim satisfaction. Take your team to defensive position 3. I'll coordinate from here, as... The engineers departed. Lena established her command post in a reinforced observation bunker overlooking the plaza. From there, she could direct the battle while maintaining visual contact with the primary objective. Through her tactical display, she watched the Varithi forces advance methodically toward the colony, neutralizing the few remaining automated defenses without difficulty. Their new troops wore even more extensive protective gear, full environmental suits with external cooling systems clearly designed specifically to counter the flamethrowers. "They've adapted again," Chen noted through the comm link. "As expected," Lena replied calmly. "Initiate Operation Chimera." Across the colony's perimeter, the remaining defenders engaged the Varithi advance forces, but not with flamethrowers. Instead, they employed a bizarre assortment of improvised weapons: compressed air cannons firing shrapnel, catapults launching containers of corrosive chemicals, and repurposed mining equipment modified to project clouds of metallic dust that clogged the aliens' breathing apparatus. The unorthodox tactics slowed the Varithi advance, causing confusion in their ranks as they struggled to adapt to weapons that didn't match any known combat protocols in their extensive war database. "They're transmitting new orders," Chen reported, monitoring the alien communications. "Command is redirecting forces toward the central plaza. They've identified it as our command center." "Excellent," Lena said. "All perimeter units begin staged. Withdrawal to secondary positions. Make it look desperate, but not too easy." Over the next hour, the defenders executed a fighting retreat, gradually pulling back toward the colony center. The Varithi, sensing victory, pressed forward with increasing confidence, their formations becoming less cautious as they pursued what they perceived as broken resistance. By midday, the alien forces had penetrated deep into the colony, converging on the central plaza from all directions. Their commander, clearly visible in ornate armor at the center of the main formation, directed the final assault personally. Lena recognized the distinctive crest on his armor. "Commander Zex Toral has joined the ground forces," she observed. "Pride before prudence. History's favorite lesson for overconfident commanders." As the Varithi forces entered the plaza, she gave the signal. Hidden defenders activated their weapons, not the standard flamethrowers the aliens had prepared for, but the final modified versions. These fired not streams, but explosive bursts of Reed's enhanced fuel, creating concussive fireballs that detonated against the Varithi protective gear. The alien formation faltered momentarily but quickly recovered, their new armor withstanding even these enhanced attacks. Zex Toral's mandibles clicked in what appeared to be satisfaction as he signaled his forces to continue the advance. "They've adapted to the modifications," Domingo reported urgently from his position. "The new armor is working." "As expected," Lena replied calmly. "All units fall back to final defensive positions. Prepare for Hellstorm Protocol." The defenders retreated to reinforced bunkers surrounding the plaza. The Varithi, sensing imminent victory, quickened their advance, pouring into the open space in greater numbers. Zex Toral's amplified voice echoed across the battlefield. "Your primitive weapons have failed, humans. Your colony falls today." Lena stepped out of her bunker onto a raised platform overlooking the plaza, her modified flamethrower slung across her back. Through her helmet's tactical display, she confirmed that over 2,000 Varithi troops now occupied the plaza, with more streaming in every moment. "Commander Zex Toral," she called out, her voice amplified to match his. "You've studied our weapons, but not our history." The alien commander turned toward her, his compound eyes reflecting the planet's violet light. "Surrender now, and I may permit some of your colonists to live as labor assets." "Generous," Lena replied, "but I have a counteroffer." She raised her hand, revealing a simple detonator. "On Earth, we once had a saying, 'Fight fire with fire.'" Before the Varithi commander could respond, she pressed the detonator. Throughout the plaza, hidden valves opened, releasing thousands of gallons of Reed's enhanced fuel from underground reservoirs. As the liquid covered the ground, soaking the alien troops' lower extremities, Lena fired her flamethrower, not at the enemy, but at a specially designed ignition point at the plaza's center. The modified atmospheric processors activated simultaneously, creating a swirling vortex that pulled the flames upward and outward in an expanding spiral. The plaza transformed into a massive inferno, a controlled firestorm that engulfed the Varithi forces. Even their enhanced armor, designed to withstand conventional flamethrowers, provided no defense against the intensity of the conflagration. The temperature climbed beyond anything their protection could handle, the crystalline components in their armor not just failing, but becoming conductors for the heat. Zextoral screamed orders that went unheeded as discipline collapsed. Varithi soldiers tried to flee, only to find their retreat cut off as Petrova triggered the final trap. The buildings surrounding the plaza collapsing inward, creating an impassable barrier of debris that contained both the fire and the trapped alien forces. From her elevated position, protected by energy shields calibrated specifically for this moment, Lena watched the systematic destruction of the invasion force. When the flames finally began to subside hours later, nothing remained in the plaza but ash and twisted alien armor. "Chen," she called through her comlink. "Status of the Varithi fleet?" "Breaking orbit, Captain," came the astonished reply. "All ships retreating at maximum velocity." A ragged cheer erupted from the defenders' positions. Lena allowed herself a small smile but remained focused. "Maintain alert status. Domingo, begin recovery operations." 2 days later, the colony council convened in the partially repaired command center. The cost had been severe, nearly 100 colonists dead, a third of the settlement's infrastructure destroyed. But they had survived, achieving what many would have thought impossible: driving off a Varithi assault force with nothing but ingenuity and weapons considered obsolete for over a century. "The Concord fleet will arrive within 5 days, Councillor Patel announced. Their advanced scouts report no sign of Varithi forces remaining in the system." "They won't be back," Lena stated confidently. "Not to this colony, at least." "How can you be so certain?" Brenton asked, the hostility gone from his voice, replaced with grudging respect. "Because we didn't just defeat them, we humiliated them," Lena explained. "The Varithi cultural framework can't process being overcome by what they consider inferior technology. It violates their entire worldview." Patel nodded slowly. "The Concord military representatives have requested a full briefing on your tactics. They believe other threatened colonies might benefit from your unconventional approach." "Of course," Lena agreed. "Though I doubt the Varithi will fall for the same tricks twice. They'll develop countermeasures for flamethrowers now." Our advantage was surprise, the fact they had no historical context for these weapons. "Which raises the question," said Reed, who had joined the council meeting. "Why did we stop using such effective weapons in the first place?" Lena smiled sadly, touching the ancient compass around her neck. "Because we decided some victories cost too much in terms of our humanity. Flamethrowers were banned on Earth centuries ago, not because they weren't effective, but because of the suffering they caused." "And yet you didn't hesitate to use them," Brenton observed. "Against an enemy that would have shown us no mercy?" Lena shook her head. "Sometimes survival requires difficult choices. History is written by the survivors." 2 weeks later, with Concord military vessels in orbit providing security, the colony had begun reconstruction. Lena stood at the edge of what had once been the central plaza, now a blackened crater being cleared for rebuilding. Domingo approached, carrying a data tablet. "The Concord Intelligence Division finished their analysis of the Varithi wreckage," he reported. "Their armor technology was even more advanced than we thought. According to their engineers, no standard-issue Concord weaponry could have penetrated it." "Sometimes the old ways work best," Lena mused. "The Admiral wants to offer you a commission," Domingo continued. "They're establishing a new tactical division focused on unconventional warfare against the Varithi." Lena raised an eyebrow. "They want to mass-produce flamethrowers?" "They want the mind that thought to use them," Domingo corrected. The weapon itself was just a tool. Your understanding of historical combat and ability to apply it to modern conflicts, that's what made the difference. Lena looked out over the colony, damaged but unbowed, its people already rebuilding. And if I prefer to stay here? They mentioned something about a substantial research grant and a dedicated military protection detail for New Horizon. Domingo grinned. Seems they value your contributions either way. Clever of them. Lena smiled, then grew serious again. The Varithi will adapt. Next time, it won't be flamethrowers that save us, but something else they've never encountered. Something else from our past that they've dismissed as obsolete. Already thinking about the next battle? Domingo asked. Lena shook her head, watching colonists working together to clear debris and raise new structures. No. Thinking about what we're fighting for. She gestured toward the rebuilding efforts. This is why humanity has survived every challenge we've faced. Not just our weapons or technology, but our ability to adapt, to reach into our past when necessary, and to work together. She closed her compass, the face of her ancestor disappearing as the case snapped shut. The Varithi believe in evolution. Through conquest, we evolve through cooperation and remembrance. That's the weapon they'll never understand, and the one they can never counter. As the twin suns of Epsilon 6 began to set, casting long shadows across the colony, Lena turned toward the command center. There was much work to be done. Reports to file, defenses to rebuild, strategies to develop for the wars yet to come. But for now, in this moment, they had achieved what seemed impossible. A small colony of civilians had defeated one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, using weapons the enemy had mocked as obsolete. It wouldn't be the last time. Humanity would surprise the cosmos. The end.